this track, fam.
Here is the UFC veteran from Lucedale, Mississippi, by way of Iberville, Mississippi, Jason the Kid.
Boom! Welcome to Fight His MMA. It's me, Miss Nikki. Tonight I have the most special guest ever. I have Jason the Kid Knight here with Fight His MMA. We are talking about his return to the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship Square Ring. This is his second appearance at Bare Knuckle. His epic debut against Artem, the Russian Hammer, Lobov. Oh my God. We are here. He's going to tell us what's good with him. We're going to talk a little bit about this first fight, and then we're going to talk about him going into this second fight. So, hi, Jason. Welcome, young man. It is an honor.
Hey, how you doing? It's an honor to meet you and talk with you for sure. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we were talking a little bit. You have a nice, you know what? Before we go into anything, let me ask you about this kid on your amateur record. You have 4 fights as an Emmy, right?
I had 10 fights as an Emmy.
Okay, they only got 4 up on the listing. You know, I had to go to the junk factor.
See, whenever I started when I was 14, and I started fighting in Mobile back before they had an athletic commission. So I had 6 fights that weren't even sanctioned through an athletic commission. So that's why those 6 aren't really counted.
Okay, got you. And the other 4 were through the Alabama regional.
I really don't know. I don't know if they were Alabama or Mississippi.
Okay,
I
they
yeah,
listed it as Alabama regional.
I
But
believe that's right. I had all 10 of my amateur fights in Alabama. Because it really wasn't that big of a thing in Mississippi at that time. It was a little bigger in Alabama.
okay, so on the people that were listed in your Emmy record, one name jumped out, and that was Anthony Johnson. So is this anybody that we know, or is this just some young man who has the same name as somebody we might know?
That's just a young man that's got the same name as Rumble.
Okay.
I wish I had a win over Anthony Johnson, the real one. But man, the guy who I fought back then, yeah, I would have to find a picture of it. But his name was Anthony Johnson, and of course I'm Jason Knight. But I was 142 pounds soaking wet, and I was a little skinny thing. And I stepped on the scales weighing 142 after eating a cheeseburger. He came in, he was probably 3 or 4 inches taller than me, ripped up, and just swole as can be. And I was honestly scared to death going into the fight, thinking, "Oh my God, this guy's fixing to kill me." Well, we go out with tap gloves. As soon as we tap gloves, he threw a leg kick. He didn't even honor it. Like that was the last time I ever tapped gloves. I tapped his glove and he kicked me as our hands were connecting.
Oh, wow.
And whenever he did that, it made me mad. So I threw a 1-2 right down the pipe, and he ducked under it, went for a takedown. He went for a takedown, and this is right around the time I started working my rubber guard. And I had been working rubber guard for maybe 2 or 3 months, and I tapped him out with a go-go plata. So that was my first ever go-go plata, which is, I don't know if you know what a go-go plata is, but that is a submission that barely anybody's ever done in MMA, and like in an actual MMA fight. But I tapped him out in about 30 seconds with a go-go plata, and it felt great. I won a belt that night, and then I turned pro. That I was 16 at the time, and I turned 17 a month or so after that, and then I turned pro at 17.
Wow. Why 17? Why you most 17-year-olds are not really trying to do that at 17? Like, what's good with that?
Man, I started fighting at 15. I mean, at 14, like I was going on 15 years old, but you know, I had I think 2 fights before I was even 15, and then I don't know, man. I fell in love with it. I fought as I street fought a bunch as a kid. You know, going through school and at the baseball field, football field, just little dumb stuff. I was a hot headed kid. If you look my
Okay.
way, if you talked about my mama, any little thing that I could fight over, I fought over. Whenever I was younger, and then when I got into MMA, it was a way to fight, without getting charges pressed or, getting the law called and stuff like that. And, by the time I was 15 years old, this is what I wanted to do with my life. I knew right then and there, this is it. This is what's gonna, provide for my family one day. And I quit school whenever I was 15. Yeah, 15 or 16. I quit school, and I was in the 10th grade. And my teacher asked me, I remember him asking me like it was yesterday, what are you going to do with your life? He knew that I was quitting school at the end of the year because I used to do good in school. And then my mama told me that at the end of the year I could quit. And I could go get my GED. And because I was just fed up with it, I had no respect for authorities and stuff. And I told her, I'm fixing to quit, Mom. I'm finna stop going to school. She said, well, let's finish out this school year, and then you can quit, go get your GED. Well, I stopped doing all my work. I started failing all my classes. Well, the teacher, he asked me, what happened? Why are you not doing your work? Da, da, da. I was like, look, man, I'll be honest with you. At the end of the year, I'm out of here. I'm not coming back. He was like, all right, well, what do you plan on doing with your life? I was like, I'm going to be a UFC fighter. He said, good luck with that. And, still to this day, I haven't seen that teacher, but I just want to be able to say I told you so.
I'm pretty sure he already done felt that. He done seen you somewhere. He done heard about you somewhere. The
Oh yeah, for sure.
UFC, bare knuckle. He know. He know what's good. He might be a little older, but he ain't forgetful yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you moved into your pro career. You were sure this is what I'm going to do. You put it all in. So is Mr. Belcher still your MMA coach?
Yeah. When I'm training MMA, yes, he's still my coach. I still train at his gym, Alan Belcher MMA in D'Iberville. I now have my own little gym. It's called Jason Knight MMA in Lucedale, Mississippi. So I'm able to pass on some of my knowledge to some of these guys that that they don't really know anything right now, and they're slowly but surely getting better, going to competitions, winning competitions. I have a few adults that are actually fighting MMA now.
I seen your little Empire stuff, Empire
Yeah,
Fighting Championship. So that's
yeah,
where
man.
you are predominantly putting your fighters right now. Is that the closest thing to y'all?
Yes, ma'am. Empire Fighting Championships. Me, my brother Josh Knight, and 2 of our best friends, Christian Garula and Lewis Garula. We all went in, together on this promotion, and Empire Fighting Championships. That's our promotion, and now we've got some of our fighters that we put on our shows, and I'm since the UFC, I've landed on my feet. Honestly, I thought that my world was coming to an end because UFC was over, but honestly, it was just the beginning of a new career.
I know that's right, baby. With bare knuckle, that's what's good. So you moved on up into your MMA career, and the one great thing, and then two, and then a couple other things. Mr. Jim Allers, you have a split decision win over here at MMA.
Yes, ma'am. That was my second UFC fight. We fought. It was a tough fight. I can't lie. I feel like I stayed ahead. Pretty much the whole fight. First and second round, I feel like I dominated. Third round, I thought that I got the first 2 rounds won, so I'm going to come out here and coast my way through it. Because by this time, the first 2 rounds was easy. It was. I felt like I was just dominating. And then we come into the third round, and I'm thinking that he's gonna fight the same way he did the last 2. Well, third round he comes out like a rocket, ready to try to knock my head off. And he hit me with some good shots, and I feel like he won that third round. And you know, he got a split decision. I mean, we got a split decision, and I got my hand raised, but we got a fight of the night, and both of us got $50,000 that night. You know, 50. We got 50,000 on top of our original purse. So you know that was my first big paycheck in the UFC, and you know that was a life-changing event.
That's what's up. So, out of your, did you tell me 9 appearances at UFC?
Yes, ma'am. I had 9 UFC fights. Um, I lost my first one. I took it on 2 weeks' notice. I fought Tatsuya Kawajiri. He was number 13 in the world at the time, and you know he just kept taking me down. I couldn't get up, and I lost the fight. Well, after that, I went on to win 4 straight in a row. Out of those 4, I got 3 performance bonuses. I got 1 fight of the night against Jim Allers. I got a submission of the night over Alex Caceres, and then I got, I guess you could say, a knockout of the night over Chaz Skelly.
Oh wow!
You know, and then I had a win over Dan Hooker as well. Dan Hooker, after that fight, he went to 155, and then in the 155 division, he has just stacked them up. He has murdered people in the 155 division. I think he's lost maybe once or twice since he moved to 155, but he has done amazing things. So I feel like that's probably my most notable win to date.
Congratulations, young man. That's what I'm talking about. So you mentioned a little while ago that you felt like once you left the UFC, you felt like your life was over in that moment and you didn't know what you was going to do. And here you are, you're at bare knuckle. So in between bare knuckle and leaving UFC, you did what? You built up, y'all talked about this promotion and y'all start putting it together and
yeah. Around the time that I was released from the UFC, after my last UFC fight, I lost. That was 4 losses in a row. So I knew, there's a big possibility of me getting cut.
what was that like for your mental? Being that your ratio to win losses are very low to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
as an amateur, I won 10 straight. I won 10 in a row. I was 10-0 as an amateur. Then I went pro. And then as a pro, I think I won 7 in a row before I ever lost. I was 7-0 as a pro, and I had my first pro loss. And then after that, I think I won another 8 or 9 before I made it to the UFC.
I thought it was the other way around. Like you had 8 or 9 wins, and then you had that first loss, and then you had 7 more wins, and you had another loss.
It was something along those lines. But yeah, I was 16-1 as a pro when I made it to the UFC, and then I lost my first fight, which that was understandable. I fought the number 13 guy in the world, and I fought him on 2 weeks' notice, straight off the couch. I hadn't been training, and I was not prepared for the fight at all. I had just had my little boy when I got the call to go to the UFC, so for months I had been preparing to have a little boy.
Yes.
At home, spending time with my girlfriend at the time, and I had my little boy on the day that he was born. I got the call, hey, do you want to fight in the UFC on December the 11th?
What a blessing.
I had my little boy on November 24th. And after November 24th, that day they called me and they're like, hey, do you want to fight in the UFC? And I was like, well, of course. He's like, my coach, Alan Belcher, he tells me, hey, it's going to be a tough fight, but, I think you can win it. I was like, look, man, I'm not in shape. I know I haven't been training. I said, but I'll get in the gym and I'll bust my butt for the next 2 weeks, and we'll be ready. I'll be as ready as I can be. And that's what we did. I went home. I went back to the hospital. I told my girlfriend, I was like, look, I love you to death, but I'm not going to be around very much for the next couple of weeks. I know our little boy was just born, but I just got the call to go to the UFC. It's like, oh my God, heck yeah, that's awesome. Well, I lost to Tatsuya Kawajiri. Then I win 4 straight in a row, and I'm back on this roll. I'm excited, but big paychecks started coming in, and I was, from the time I've been born, I was so broke, man. Like we've had to struggle our whole life. always, barely keeping your nose out of the water, and wondering where your next meal is going to come from at times. And anyways, I made it to the UFC. I got to where I could buy anything I wanted. Anything that I had in my mind that I wanted to go get, I could go get it because I had the money in the bank.
What was
And
the first big purchase? What was your
yeah,
first big purchase for you?
my first big purchase, uh, after I beat Jim Allers, I bought a house. Um,
Wow.
it's not a real nice house or anything, but it's a house. It's mine. Well, I didn't buy it outright. Whenever I fought, after I fought Jim Allers, I went and looked at a place, and they were talking about renting the place, and I was like, well, would you sell it? I asked him. I was like, how much did you pay for the house? He said, $45,000, and it was a fixer upper. I was like, would you sell it? And he said, I don't know, man. He said, I'd have to see. He's like, yeah, I'd probably sell it. I said, well, how about, would you do rent to own? He said, I don't know about that. I was like, I'll give you a $10,000 deposit. He was like, okay, I can do that. I went and got the $10,000, give it to him, and then I started fixing the house up. I had plenty of time. I mean, I still had plenty of money left in the bank. I put about $30,000 into fixing the house up, changed the carpet, changed the paint, changed the cabinets, all that stuff. And now I got me a place to live, a place for my kids to come to. After that, I just went to buying toys and partying and doing a lot of dumb stuff. That's why I think I had the 4-fight losing streak. I got to where I
You
got to a
got
point where
comfortable, huh?
I was spending not really comfortable. Probably my first loss after that, I fought Ricardo Lamas, and I trained as hard as I could for Ricardo Lamas. I trained twice a day. He was number 3 in the world. I trained so hard, and I was so ready for that fight, but I got caught. I just got caught, and stuff happens. He got a TKO that night, but after that, it became a money thing. Whenever I was making these $100,000 paychecks, and I was living like I was a millionaire, in my head, this money's never going to stop coming. I'm going to, win the next one and get more money, win the next one, get more money. And then when I fought Ricardo Lamas, by the time I got to that fight, I was already in debt with people because I had done spent so much money. And
You was living the life,
you
weren't
already know.
you?
I like I told you, from the time I was born, we barely had money to eat bigger than ramen noodles. I ate a lot of ramen noodles in my lifetime. A lot of
Me too, baby. I
a
still
lot of
eat them
ham
now. I
sandwiches.
love them.
I still like them. Don't get me wrong, but I'm telling you, it was a struggle my whole life. And whenever I didn't have to struggle no more, and I was able to do what I wanted to do, that's what I did. And then I get to the Ricardo Lamas fight, and by the time I get there, I've done borrowed money from everybody. I've done got behind, and then I'm thinking that when I fight Ricardo, I'm gonna win this fight, get the money back rolling. Well, by the time I fight him, instead of making $100,000 paycheck like my last 3 fights, I make a $30,000 paycheck.
Damn,
And
that's how in debt you was.
no. The way that the fights worked is the $100,000 paychecks. I would make like a $30,000 paycheck or 50 or whatever it may be, but then I would get the bonus on top of that. That makes it 100,000. With the $50,000 bonus. And
Okay.
I done got used to that. Well, then I lose, and instead of getting my 30,000 for walking in the cage plus 30,000 for winning plus 50,000 on top of that, I only get the 30,000 for walking in the cage, and I already owed half of that out. So
Let me get that back off of you.
so I pay everybody back, and I got 10 or 15,000. That normally that should have lasted me plenty of time. That, like right now, I've got a lot smarter with my money, and I've stretched what little bit that I had as long as I could, and I still got money coming in from sponsors and stuff like that. So this training camp's been pretty easy for me, and I don't owe anybody. But the thing about it, I got to where I wasn't fighting for the love of it anymore. You know, the last 3 fights in the UFC, I was fighting to try to get my money back rather than trying to get back on top, trying to straighten stuff out. And it wasn't even fun for me anymore. It became work. You know, it wasn't about the love of the sport or the hunger that was in my belly. You know, it was just, I got to get this money.
So then you're past the UFC, you're done with the UFC. Where did bare knuckle come into your where does that come into your life at all?
After
Did they seek you or did you seek them out?
yes, after I was released from the UFC, they sent me an email. I was working on, you know, building my little gym, getting my little gym ready, and then I get an email from the UFC. And then a couple weeks went by, the UFC didn't release it. And then a guy named Cole Shelton from BKFC9.com, he hits me up. He's like, "Hey, man, would you do a podcast?" Like, yeah, no problem. And then he asked me, he's like, how important is it for you to get a win in your next UFC fight, being that you've lost 4 in a row? It's like, well, it can't be too important. They've already released me.
Right.
And then that was the first time it was talked about. And then, you know, he posted online that I'm a free agent. And then I had Combat Insiders, not Combat Insiders,
My God.
I had Cage Warriors, some Russian organization, you know, a couple smaller organizations hit me up. And then bare knuckle hit me up, and I was like, you know, that sounds kind of exciting. Well, they offered me right out the gate. They said 10,000, and I was like, I don't know, you know, that's not a bad payday for not being in the UFC.
Right.
So I hit my coach up, and I told my coach.
Had they told you who your opponent was at that time? Did they have an opponent
They
for
hadn't
you?
told me anything about that at that time. I told them, you know, talk to my coach, you know, we'll see what we can work out. And, you know, about a month or so goes by. And then I started seeing posts about bare knuckle, blah, 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 a fight that was coming up, the April 6th fight that I had this year. And I posted on there on Twitter and Instagram, I hear bare knuckle's coming to Biloxi next month. You know, get your boy a fight. You know, what do you say? Put your boy on the card or something like that. Well, then I wake up the next morning, Jason Knight versus Artem Lobov everywhere, you know, all over social media. So I called my coach and I was like, "Hey, Mikey, we fighting Artem Lobov next month?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, I told him we're down for it. And I was like, "Awesome," you know, because I've always told my coaches, you know, I trust them with all my heart. You know, I know that they're on the team. You know, they are 100% Jason Knight. They're out for my best interest. They love me and I love them. You know, so. Whatever they agree to, that's what I'm going to agree to, and that's just the way it is.
So you wake up, boom, you end this fight that you don't even know is going to be epic until it becomes epic. What are you thinking? Like, you're training, so you go right into training camp. What are you thinking? I know you and your coaches have watched footage on Artem. What are you thinking? He looked so much bigger than you in that first fight. He really looked big when y'all walked into the ring, and I was like, damn, he big. So take me to the training camp, take me all the way to the fight. And where did the animosity come in between training camp and the actual fight? That's what I wanted to know.
I honestly thought it was going to be an easy fight. I trained really hard. I watched him in the UFC, and in the UFC, he wasn't very impressive to me. You know, his record was 15-1, 15 wins, 15 losses, 1 draw. And, I thought that it's going to be an easy fight, you know, and I didn't factor in that we can't take each other down. I can't kick him. You know, I didn't factor in that he's got stones in those hands. He's got tough little hands. And I thought, you know, I've got more skill than he does. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to use my skill. I'm going to pick him apart. And the first punch got through, and I went back to high school. You know, as soon as he hit me one time, I went back to high school and started just banging. You know, I thought that I was going to knock him out before he knocked me out. I thought that, you know, he was going to give up before I gave up. And he showed me his toughness. I showed him my toughness. And I believe that's the mistake that both of us made in the first fight. We thought that we were tougher than the other guy. We thought we was going to put him away.
At what point do you think that, the knockdowns as they were scored when they happened, do you think that everything at the end of the fight, do you think they judged everything fairly? Do you think it was something that was missed? Do you think, what was your thoughts? Because that was a war. And I need to also know, how many teeth did you lose in that fight, young man?
One.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I thought you lost like 3 or 4 or something. So you only lost one.
Yeah,
congratulations on that.
Yeah, I've had messed up teeth for a few years. Like I said, I've been fighting since I was 14.
Well, shoot, they ain't hanging out your mouth just yet, so they still in good condition.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I didn't take care of my teeth nowhere near the way that I should have, and I've been fighting since I was 14. And the tooth that Artem actually knocked out, it already had a filling in it from when I was younger. Well, the filling had came out, and he just broke it the rest of the way off.
Okay.
So, of course, he hit me. He hit me with a good punch. I can't lie about that. That happened, but he didn't just knock out 4 teeth like they're talking about. But anyways, what was we talking about other than just getting my
I
tooth
wanted to know how that short training camp went, and I wanted to know, how did the animosity build between you and him in that short period of time going into the fight? And
I think honestly, neither one of us really respected the other one.
okay.
I talked a lot of trash. He talked a lot of trash, and whenever somebody's talking trash, of course you're gonna get mad. And he's one of them guys that he's gonna talk trash. And
So was
you
there
make
something specific he said that made you mad, or just the
not
trash
really.
talking in general?
Yeah, not really. I've always been one that, for the most part, I'm respectful. But as soon as you fire off one time, you just made me your enemy.
You fade the black, huh?
I have no more respect.
Where did it go? Oh, here he comes.
You still there?
Yes, I'm still here, baby. So it was just general trash talking amongst the two of y'all.
Hey.
Y'all really didn't have that much respect for each other. Y'all had a lot of respect after that fight, though.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? He doing something. I don't know what he doing.
You still there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry about that.
No worries.
The guy with I got a guy with another podcast trying to call in. I just told him, give me 10 minutes.
Yes. Thank you to the other podcaster. Appreciate you, baby. This tight schedule. So it was a general just trash talking ish going in. What was, you had the home, even though he had the build up going into the fight, you know what I'm saying? They kept mentioning him. And yeah, it was like you was almost, to me, in the second thought, you know what I mean? So they pretty much made him the A side. How do you, what after that fight, how did you feel? What was your hometown energy?
Oh yeah, everybody had it in their head that I won the fight. It was a very close fight, and then if you go back and you look at the fight,
I did.
In the first round, I knocked him down twice, both times with punches. And
that's why I was asking, did you think was everything judged accordingly?
Yeah, the rules state, you know what I'm saying? The rules say if it's caused by a punch, it is a knockdown. If it is not caused by a punch, it is not a knockdown. All right, go back and watch the fight again. I knocked him down twice in the first round by punches. Both times you can clearly see the punches land. All right, and then you go, I don't know if it was second, third, fourth round or whatever, but there's at least twice that they counted knockdowns for Artem that he pushed me, or I went to grab the clinch, and the clinch would slip off, and I fell. And that's not knockdowns. You know what I'm saying? By the rules, that's not a knockdown. So if you see my face, you know, of course, I was bloody. I was a bloodbath. You know, I got cut open more than Artem did. It took me less time to get
He
cut
was
open.
banged up. He was banged up too.
It took me less time. You know, I started bleeding from the very first punch, probably. And that's just my face. I have scar tissue from, like I said, I've been fighting since I was 14 years old. And I've been brutal to my body, you know, I've been brutal to my face. And if you go back and you watch my 9 UFC fights, I guarantee you 7 of them I walked away with a cut on my face. So he opened up all the old scars around my eyes, and he gave me a few new scars, you know, around my mouth, which, you know, that's no big deal. I'm fine with that. But whenever you got judges who don't understand that, who don't know what they're looking at, they don't see that this guy has, you know, my skin is already jacked up, and on top of that, I got this skinny little face that is so bony, with, you know, bare knuckles connecting to my bony little cheekbones. Of course, I'm gonna bleed quick, and then they didn't factor that in. They see, oh, well, Jason got more damage. He lost that round. You know, I feel like they need to get instant replay and have all the judges with these little tablets sitting right there.
Okay.
And then as soon as the round's over, they got a minute to go back and be like, okay, was that a knockdown? Was that caused by a punch, or was that, you know, a push? Did he slip? You know, and judge that accordingly. You know, go back and, okay, well, that wasn't a knockdown. We're not going to count that as a knockdown. Yes, that was a knockdown. We're going to count that as a knockdown. You know, I think that would make for a better, you know, for a better result in the fight. But, you know, the thing is, I went back and I watched the fight over and over again, and it was such a close fight. And, you know, from the eyes, you know, on the outside, if you're not knowing exactly what you're looking at, you're not knowing that was a slip or that was a knockdown. You know, you can't really tell unless you break it down. You watch it step by step. You can't tell what's knockdowns and what's not knockdowns, because, you know, if a person falls, it looked like they got knocked down, whether it was from a push or a slip or whatever. But anyways, I've watched the fight over and over again, and it could have went either way. You know, so I'm not mad at the decision. We put on a brutal war that, you know, you can only dream about being in, and, you know, we was in
the fact that both of y'all walked away from that fight was amazing for me. I was standing outside that ring watching. It was so much going on, all the extra that was going on, a part of during your guys' fight, that was enough to take people's attention away for a minute. That was right there inside the event. But that fight y'all had was epic. And I said at the beginning of the year, some of the fights we're going to see this year, we are not going to know that they are super fights until after the fight has happened, until it's unfolding in front of us. And your fight was the primest example, and the girls' fight, Helen and Christine's fight, was actually, you know, the two prime examples for me that I was able to say, point and look and say, that's what I'm talking about. Now, with that being said, going into this second fight, what is your motivation? What changed? What did you add, or what did you make happen in this training camp that you didn't have a chance in the first one? And have you worked on strength and conditioning in this fight too? For this fight,
I've definitely did a little bit of strength conditioning. Probably gonna make my weight cut a little bit harder. I'm weighing 160 pounds right now. The last fight, I cut weight from like 153, I think. So that was an easy weight cut.
right?
But anyways, the main thing I've done is try to make sure that I learn to keep my feet under me. Try to, you know, make sure that I stay calm and I fight with skill, not just, you know, heart and aggression. And, you know, I'm not mad at Artem. He's not mad at me. I have respect for him. He has respect for me. But at the end of the day, I got to go out here and I got to blow him out the water. I got to put him to sleep, or I got to win a decisive decision. It can't be close, and that's what's going to happen. You know, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to fight as smart as I can, as hard as I can. I'm going to keep my feet under me. I'm not going to, you know, throw crazy punches while I'm flat-footed and take the chance of falling down. I'm gonna be technical. I'm gonna be smart, and I'm gonna hit him so many times. You know, hit my angles, hit my, you know, everything that I didn't do in the first fight. I'm gonna do it in this fight, and you know, we're gonna see if he can stop it.
Damn, that's what I'm talking about. So, what was the energy between you guys when you were? I seen you at Bare Knuckle 8 when I was watching, like everyone else, the pay-per-view. I seen you corner Sheena Star. I also wanted to bring up that Chase Sherman is one of your gym mates, right? Or it used to be. Are you guys as close as you were before?
Oh yes,
He,
we're still training partners. We're still good friends.
and he's our current heavyweight bare knuckle fighting championship champion, right?
Yes, ma'am, he is. Uh, Chase is going to be fighting that night. I know he's been training his butt off, but you know, I haven't really put in a whole lot of work with Chase because, of course, you see the size difference. But
Yes.
you know, for my boxing matches, I don't really go to Alan Belcher's as much as I do other. I go train with Brandon Davis. He has a little gym set up in his garage. He
Okay.
was he was a UFC fighter as well, and also, you know, one of my striking coaches while I was in the UFC. And then there's another guy. His name's Blake Singley. He has a little gym set up in his backyard as well. You know, one is in Mobile, Alabama. One is in Biloxi, Mississippi. So you know, I got to drive an hour one way in the morning time to go train, come back home, chill for a few hours, and I go an hour in the opposite direction in the evening time. And you know, I've been doing that at least 4 or 5 days a week and getting in some work. Uh, that's 2 days, at least 4 days a week, and then you know the other days I'm just training once a day. But I've been putting in the work, and you know we're gonna be ready. I know that Chase he's probably training twice a day every day, and planning on going out here and closing the show as well.
So y'all are going to be the main event and the co-main event on this upcoming November 16th card in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yes, ma'am. Every time me and Chase has ever fought on a card together, we've done great together. Uh, I feel like Chase, the last time we fought together on bare knuckle, he won, and I feel like I won that night as well. You know, I didn't, regardless of you know what the judges said, I walked away, you know, with my head held high, and I felt like a winner. And Artem, he went to the hospital. He got rolled out on a stretcher. I went I went to the hospital to check for concussions, but I went out there. I took pictures with my fans first. They didn't roll me out on a stretcher. I hopped in the car and we drove ourselves to the hospital.
Right.
They wouldn't put me on no stretcher, you know.
I don't
So
know how I missed you that night. I do not know how I missed you.
yeah,
I am so
after
sorry,
that
baby. I wish I had caught up with you, but
night,
it doesn't matter. I'm very proud of your debut. I'm excited for you returning, and this is such an epic fight for you again. And do you have any reservations going back the second time at all against this man and outside of the normal feelings a fighter would have?
uh, you know, I'm excited. You know, I'm ready to get in here and you know show them who's boss. Show them the person who was supposed to get their hand raised and show them exactly why. You know, I'm not anything. I'm not the least bit nervous about you know the fact that I'm going to get cut open because I know that's going to happen. I'm probably going to be cut just as much as the first time, and I'm probably going to bleed just as much. But you best believe he's going to get it just as good as I do, and you know I'm excited about it. I'm ready. I'm ready to go out here and make a statement.
Okay. My last two questions. Win, lose, or draw. What's good? If you win, if you lose, or if you draw, what's good with you?
Of course, I want to win, but you know, no matter what, I know that that God put me here for a reason. I know that God put me in bare knuckle for a reason. I know that He's given me this platform for a reason. And, you know, no matter the outcome, I'm still gonna thank God for it. You know, I know that whatever it is His plan. That's His will over my life. That's, you know, that's whatever happens. That's what God wanted to happen. It's not my decision. It's not Artem's decision. It's not in them judges' hands. It's, you know, that's what God already had planned. And, you know, we're gonna go out here and see if we can't, you know, plan show that He's got a win plan for me. You know, that's what I'm hoping.
So if you do win, do you think we'll get a trilogy with you two?
Yeah. I mean, if he wants it, you know, he was man enough to give me my rematch, and if I win, I'll be man enough to give him his rematch. And you know, if we do it a third time, there's going to be absolutely no room for an argument. Best 2 out of 3, and you know that's it. You can't do a fourth fight where
Right.
somebody's only won 2 of.
Okay. Will we get to see Jason the Kid Knight back in MMA anytime in the future before he retires out of fighting completely?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, I might not ever make it back to the UFC, but I will fight MMA.
Has
Again.
Bellator reached out to you?
No, they haven't. I talked to King Mo. He was actually cornering a girl at our last Empire show.
Okay.
We had Empire FC Ladies of War, and King Mo, he came down and he cornered a girl that night, and he was talking about possibly trying to get me a couple Bellator fights. And you know, I don't know if that ever went anywhere, but you know, honestly, I'm happy with bare knuckle. I love it. I'm having a blast, and you know, I'm going to continue to have a blast until it's over. Um,
How
would I
many
mind?
fights you got left on this contract that you're
I'm
on
signing
now?
one. I'm signing 1 fight deals, baby. That's it.
Give
They,
me
you
my
know,
money.
that's it. You know, I don't like. I'm not opposed to a 3 fight deal, but the thing about it, there's gonna be a clause in there that if I go out here and I lay my heart on the line like I did with Artem, and I fight the way that I did, I put on a show that brings y'all money in. Y'all gonna pay me for it, and it's not gonna be a set amount each time to where you know I can't have my money raised. You know, I might
Are
if
you
you
making
give
a little
me
bit more this time than you did the first time?
substantially,
That's what
substantially
I'm
more.
talking about.
Yeah, so you know, my thing is, you know, I'm not gonna go out here and fight my heart out for them and be the face of the company. Me and Artem both. I don't care what nobody says. Me and Artem, we brought this thing up. You know, we have helped bare knuckle tremendously with just
That
that one
fight
fight.
is epic.
And I think you know we're gonna keep rising up in the company, and I'm not gonna do it for free. You know, they're gonna pay me. That's the plan. And with a 3 fight contract, you locked in on a certain price each time. With a 1 fight contract, I get to negotiate every time. Every single time we get to negotiate. Every time there's room for argument, you know, and that's the way I like it. You know,
Let's
you can't
get it.
you lock me into a 3 fight contract, then I gotta you know honor that contract until them 3 fights are done. But you know, you tell me you're gonna pay me X amount of dollars, and then this guy over here tells me he's gonna pay me more. If you don't want to pay me more, see ya. See what I'm saying?
Respect. I cannot be mad at you about that, young man. Handle your business. It seemed like
And
you
you know,
are.
I love. Don't get me wrong. I love bare knuckle. I love bare knuckle boxing. It takes me back to you know high school. It takes me back to the old days, to whenever it was just purely for the love of it. You know, and I don't got to worry about somebody taking me down and laying on me and you know not fighting the way that I want them to fight. Here they have no option. You know, you stand up and you bang with me, or I run you over, and that's
Right.
the way it's gonna be. Well, I'm so sorry, Miss Nikki, but if you got
No
anything else,
worries.
let's knock it out. I got another podcast. I'm already late for.
You shout out your sponsors, shout out whoever you want to, your gym, everybody. So, and we can close it out.
Oh Lord, I'm so sorry. I wish I had a list of sponsors in front of me. Give me about 3 seconds. Give me about 3 seconds and try to pull up that list.
Okay. Yes, we always got to show love for the sponsors and all the people that support us and keep it moving so that they know we remember them even when we talking about the dangest things. Yes, that's
All right. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, even though you can't see me, we're going to go ahead and shout them out anyways. Let's see. We got Veteran Farms. We got Phenomena Fit, Nelson Outdoors, Kratom and Company, Neo Life Physical Therapy, and Steel Nutrition, Performance Auto Upholstery, Heartland Official, MMA Uncensored, and the Knob B Podcast. Everybody has helped me out. I'm talking about tremendously for this fight. I haven't had to worry about a thing. These sponsors, you know, I've given them shout outs over and over on social media because I'm telling you, I could not have made it through this camp without them. I would have been working and, you know, working and training and doing it the way I used to do before the UFC. And it's so much easier to not have to work. It's so much easier to, you know, put all your energy into the training. And if it wasn't for these sponsors, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So thank y'all so much. You honestly don't know what it means to me. And I promise you, I'm going to go out there and show you on fight night, you know, what you were paying for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Jason the Kid Knight. Good luck come November 16th. I will see you before that fight, one way or another. I'll see you before that fight. Go ahead, do your thing, and have a great night. Thank you for talking to Fight Heads MMA.
Yes, ma'am. Last thing, Empire FC4 is going to be November the 23rd, a week after my fight.
Yes, that's right.
So make sure you're watching, you know, Empire FC.
Oh, well, are you guys going to be streaming it or something?
We will be streaming it. I'm not exactly sure how yet.
Okay, well, let me know how, and I will tune in, baby.
Yes, ma'am. It's either going to be Facebook Live or, you know, something along those lines, but we'll let you know.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a good night.
You too, baby. Well, you guys, there you have it. Miss Nikki, Jason, the Kid Knight, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 9, November 16th. That's in a few weeks, you guys. It is going down in Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi, back there at the Coastal Coliseum. Ain't no doubt in your mind. Main event, it's going down. Co-main event is going down. Chase Sherman gets to defend his heavyweight bare knuckle fighting championship belt for the first time, and his accolades from the Police Gazette. He gets to defend those for the first time. We're going to see, I believe he is the linear champion, heavyweight champion. Artem, Lobov, Jason, the Kid Knight, the Russian Hammer versus the Kid. Again, that first fight was epic. If y'all have not seen it, please go to Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship YouTube page and watch it so that you can even understand what you may be getting into on the 16th of November. Please. Yes. And to all Jason Knight sponsors, thank you for everything that you have done for this young man to make this camp easier for him. And yes, I believe that we're going to see a great fight come November 16th. I have no doubt in my mind both men are going to bring the best that they have again. You heard what he said in the first fight, that they just didn't have that much respect for each other. They just thought that they was going to go there and be able to run over each other. And so that fight that's how it ended up, was they spent the whole fight trying to prove their point to each other, which they did. Couldn't ask for a better fight. Fight of the year, undoubtedly. How are they going to even top that fight? Is there any way that they can top that fight? We're going to have to see. Jason can't be lured into no brawl situation this time. Like he said, he's got to fight. He's got to keep his feet under him. He's got to move. He's got to do what he know he can do. So with that being said, are we going to see a different fighter from Artem this time? Has he beefed up his game, or is he still going to just be the Russian hammer and just throw them hammers like, I don't know, you fire a slingshot or something? We'll find out. We'll find out November 16th. Tune in and be looking for Miss Nikki to be doing more interviews coming from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Be looking for me to do my interview with Reggie. He'll be on this upcoming card along with Chase and Jason and Artem and all of them. I believe Mr. Bobby Gunn himself, the Universal Heavyweight Champion at Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, he will be returning to the square ring. Also, oh man, they've signed Hector Lombard. It's a lot going on. Miss Nikki got to regroup herself and find out, because they got another signing this week. It's happening this week. It may be happening right now. It's Tuesday right now. It may be happening right now. It may be happening tomorrow. Maybe happening the day after. But they got something coming out this week too. So we're gonna see what's happening. But for right now, y'all better go ahead and order that upcoming fight November 16th. If you're not going to be there at the Coastal Coliseum in Biloxi, Mississippi, go order that fight now. You do not want to be the one that somebody else is telling you about it the next day after it didn't happen. You want to bear witness to it. If you are in Mississippi, I would advise you go ahead and buy your ticket now for this, because I'm pretty sure if they haven't started selling the tickets, when they do go on sale, they will be sold out. So get in where you fit in. Love, peace, and hair grease. Miss Nikki, FIGHTHEADSMMA. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, baby.